Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Joe.
And this is CrimeDivers.
Hello everybody, welcome to today's episode.
Hello everyone.
So today we have a Laura-sode.
We do have a Laura-sode.
So where in the world are we?
It's in the UK.
Oh, I don't think you usually do a lot of UK ones.
My next one's not in the UK.
Because I kind of find I tend to do more UK than what you do.
I think it's been a while since I've done a UK one.
Yeah. So
yeah.
what's your episode called?
It's called Snatched in the Night.
Oh, that doesn't sound good. So do you want to dive in?
Let's dive in.
Okay.
So before we start, I've got a little trigger warning.
Okay.
It is a child-related crime.
Right.
And there's a bit of sexual abuse in it.
Right.
So just for anyone that really doesn't want to listen to it, I won't be offended, Don't listen.
Yeah, we know that people have triggers, so, if that is something you don't want to listen to, we'll see you next week.
Exactly. But for anybody else that wants to hear the story, we'll just dive in.
Let's dive in, yeah.
So Alesha MacPhail was born in Glasgow Royal Infirmary on the 22nd of October 2011. She lived in Airdrie, North Lanarkshire, with her mother Georgina Lochran and her younger sister Courtney. She attended Chapelside School, and she was described by her head teacher as a smiley and happy young girl who loved being at school and enjoyed all aspects of literacy, and in particular, she loved writing. Her favourite activities included gymnastics and cake baking. So she was a nice, sweet little girl. So Alesha's parents had separated when she was just 3 months old. Her dad, Robert, was still very much involved in her life. But he lived in Rothesay, which is on the Isle of Bute, which is an island just off the north of Scotland.
I think I've been there. That sounds...
I don't think not that I can remember. I mean, I don't know.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, but he lived there with his parents, and he had a girlfriend called Tony. So Alesha, she would visit her dad and grandparents every other weekend. So again, very much involved in her life. So Alesha, who was now 6 years old, she just finished primary 2. And the school had broken up for the summer holidays, so she was off for 7 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know about any other
Lucky
countries,
children.
but they get a good few weeks off at the summer. So on the 28th of June in 2018, Alesha was heading to Rothesay, as it had been decided that she was going to spend the first 3 weeks of the summer holidays with her dad.
Right.
So on the 1st of July 2018, 3 days into Alesha's summer visit, Alesha was put to bed in her room with a Peppa Pig DVD playing.
Ugh.
Yeah,
I hate Peppa Pig.
Yeah, I must admit I don't like
I'm
them.
so glad your daughter has passed that.
Me too. So around 11 p.m, Tony, who was the girlfriend, she had checked on Alesha and found that she was asleep. So, everyone else had went to bed for the night. Just a normal night. So at around 6 a.m. on the 2nd of July, Alesha's grandfather, who was called Cal MacPhail, he woke up for work. He must have decided to check on Alesha, as he found that she wasn't in her bed.
Oh, God.
He searched the whole house just in case she was elsewhere. She maybe gotten up or, went to somebody else's bed or something like that. As child at that age they can do. But, he couldn't find her in the house at all. Like, he just searched everywhere. Couldn't find her at all. And this was obviously so out of character for Alesha. She'd never run away from before. She'd never had any reason to go anywhere that she shouldn't. So he couldn't understand where she'd gone. So of course, he'd got everybody else up in the house saying they couldn't find her. So Alesha's grandmother, Angela King, she notified the police at 6:23 a.m. Mm-hmm. The rest of the family began searching the local area and spreading the word of her disappearance. Her grandmother also made a plea on Facebook encouraging members of the public to help. Police Scotland, they began a hunt for Alesha. A helicopter was used to help with the search. It was, a big, massive, panic, where's this little girl gone?
Of course, yeah.
A Coast Guard volunteer began searching the shoreline, and at 6:55 a.m, as he was searching, he came across a kitchen knife near the MacPhail's home. So that was obviously quite suspicious. By this point, many members of the public, they'd also joined the search at this point because, the word had got out. I mean, an island, Isle of Bute, I mean, I don't know how big it is, but, I'm sure it's like probably a smallish community, so I'm sure the word would have got around pretty quick.
Yeah.
So at 8:54 a.m, the police were notified by George Williams, who was a local man. He had seen the Facebook appeal, and he had sadly discovered Alesha's lifeless and naked body.
Oh no.
She was found in a wooded area within the grounds of a former hotel, and it was about a 15-minute walk from the MacPhail's home. Georgina, who was Alesha's mum, she was obviously 70 miles away back in Airdrie, learned about her daughter's death via Angela King's Facebook page, which I thought was a bit off to discover that, because surely
So is that her mother-in-law or ex-mother-in-law?
Yeah. So obviously the grandmother had put the post on Facebook, and that's how.
So they didn't contact her directly?
Well, not that I could see. I mean, I can't categorically say that 100%, but from the information that I found, it was she learned about her daughter's death via the Facebook page. So, so of course she made her way straight to the Isle of Bute.
Of course.
So a postmortem was conducted on 3rd of July, and the autopsy concluded that Alesha had received 117 injuries. Some of which were caused...
How? She will have been tiny.
Well, exactly. And as but say, some of them which were caused while she was still alive.
Oh, no.
Injuries to her neck and face indicated that she had been gripped, while injuries to her nose and mouth indicated that she had been smothered. Where it gets a bit worse. Her genitalia sustained catastrophic injuries, and the pathologist determined her death to be the result of significant forceful pressure to her neck and face. So I think she did sadly suffer quite a lot.
That's awful.
In the lead up to her death. So Police Scotland opened a murder investigation following the results of the autopsy. The police appealed to the public for information. They conducted searches at the MacPhail's house. They heavily patrolled the streets of Bute and made house-to-house inquiries. Several parts of the island was cordoned off while forensic experts searched for evidence. Investigators believed from an early stage that the murderer remained on the Isle of Bute.
Right.
I don't know how easy it is to get off the Isle of Bute personally. I assume it's just like a ferry ride or something like that. So following the police's appeal for information, a woman named Janet Campbell had checked her CCTV that was installed at her home. She found footage of her son, Aaron Campbell, leaving and returning twice during the hours that Alesha had disappeared.
Oh.
She, of course, quizzed him about his whereabouts. He insisted he knew nothing about the case. And Jeanette, she was pleased with his response, but she did actually report the footage to the police to remove any suspicion, because I think at this point she thought, oh, well, if I don't come forward with it now and, they're suspecting it might be my son or whatever, I'm kind of trying to remove that suspicion.
Yeah, I mean, good for her. I mean, she's doing her best to help. And
yeah, exactly. She's not trying to hide anything. She's seen her son's obviously been a bit suspicious, so she's...
Did he say where he had been, like what he'd been doing? Or are we getting to that?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
So, obviously she reported it to the police. So the police followed up and decided to interview Aaron as a possible witness. He fully cooperated with the questions, and he said that he'd been buying and smoking cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
But the police clearly didn't buy his story, as he was actually arrested on the 4th of July on suspicion of murder.
Oh, God. He
was taken to a police station in Glasgow to be questioned. This time he answered the classic, no comment.
No comment, yeah.
to all the questions. The following day, Aaron Campbell was charged with the murder and rape of Alesha MacPhail and remained in custody. But who was this? Who was this 16-year-old boy accused of murder?
Oh, 16? For some reason I thought he was 19.
No, 16-year-old boy, and why would he target a 6-year-old girl? Because I'm sure that's the question we're all asking now. So as I said before, his name is Aaron Campbell. He was born on the 7th of May 2002 in Shrewsbury, England. He moved to the Isle of Bute when he was 4 or 5 years old with his mother Jeanette, father Christopher and younger sister. Campbell's upbringing was quite troubled. He suffered elements of physical and emotional abuse, and he often argued with his alcoholic mother. He was tested for ADHD and had a history for self-harming and depression. He was popular among his friends. They would regularly go to parties and drink. He wanted to be like a young YouTube star. That's what the kids seem to aspire to these days. And he posted several videos to the website. When he was 15, Campbell began to consider doing something excessive, such as rape. In 2017, he sent a Facebook message saying that he might kill one day for the lifetime experience.
Who did he send that to?
He just put that on Facebook message. I don't know who to. I don't think it was just like a status, like a post just saying that. He was also put into a rehabilitation program when he was caught starting fires. So he was clearly a troubled young man, boy, sorry. He obviously, had serious issues where he was thinking things that really you shouldn't be thinking. So it came to light that Campbell knew Alesha's father, Robert, and his girlfriend, Toni McLaughlin. Campbell claimed that he had had a casual sexual relationship with Toni in the winter of 2017. He also bought cannabis from the couple on multiple occasions, but these interactions ceased early in 2018 following a disagreement and intervention from Campbell's mother. So the case went to trial, and Aaron Campbell pleaded not guilty to the charge of abducting, raping and murdering Alesha MacPhail. Because Campbell was under 18 at the time, the media were banned from reporting his name for the duration of the trial. So obviously, because I don't know if you remember, I remember the case. I remember obviously not knowing his name at first. But during the trial, the CCTV footage that Campbell's mum had shown. Sorry, it was shown, but additional CCTV footage provided by members of the public showed an individual walking along the shoreline appearing to carry something in his arms. The pathologist had testified that Alesha's feet were clean and uninjured, suggesting that she had been carried. So the fact is that this person caught on the camera was Aaron Campbell carrying her along the beach. Jeanette Campbell confirmed that several items recovered from the beach after Alesha's death, which was a fleece jacket, jogging bottoms, boxer shorts, a t-shirt and a kitchen knife, belonged to her son, and obviously the knife came from her kitchen. She confirmed that the items of clothing were her son's, and the knife that was found had come from her kitchen.
Why is his items of clothing on?
Well, I think he'd probably just tried to clearly not do a very good job of discarding them after what he'd done, but yeah.
Okay.
So fibres from the jogging bottoms were found on Alesha's pyjamas. A DNA sample taken from Alesha's neck had a 1,000,000 to 1 chance of coming from anybody but Aaron Campbell.
Right.
So DNA matches were also found on Alesha's face and 14 parts of her body and some of her clothing. A cybercrime expert told the court that Campbell used his phone to Google search, quote, how do police find DNA? Quote. Then visited a web page titled Collecting DNA Evidence. So a 16-year-old girl testified that hours after Alesha's body was discovered, Campbell had filmed himself in a Snapchat video sent to a group of 25 people with the words, quote, found the guy who's done it, quote. So he had taken a picture of himself and put the quote, found the guy who's done it, obviously meaning himself.
So he's confessing?
Basically, but in a Snapchat. So I don't know, those times Snapchats, videos, they lasted 10 seconds or something.
Yeah, but I'm sure they could be recovered.
Probably, I don't know. So his defence claimed that he had spent the early hours of the 2nd of July trying to get some cannabis and look for his lost phone. Campbell also claimed that Toni McLaughlin was responsible for Alesha's death, and he took the witness stand and claimed that he and Toni had ssex in a garage that night and suggested Toni murdered Alesha and used the condom to plant his semen on Alesha's body.
Is that the stepmom? That's
the girlfriend. Oh, the girlfriend, yeah. So he's basically blaming her. Alesha's grandmother testified that Toni had a great relationship with Alesha, so
she's that's
not going to be the case, basically. So the trial itself lasted for 9 days, and the jury deliberated for 3 hours before returning a unanimous guilty verdict. The media made a legal bid for Campbell to be publicly identified, arguing that this transparency was in the public interest. So following the trial, Lord Matthews agreed to reverse the naming restriction, which apparently was a first in Scottish history.
All right.
So he was named.
Yeah.
And that's when we learned it was Aaron Campbell.
Yeah.
So when Campbell appeared in court for his sentencing, a report had been prepared by Dr. Gary McPherson. He revealed that Campbell had confessed to the crime in great detail. Campbell said that he was quite satisfied with the murder and it took everything to stop laughing during points of the trial.
Wow.
So he was actually quite happy that he had done it. So Campbell, he was given a life sentence with a minimum term of 27 years. The judge said, had he been an adult, it would have been a longer sentence. So on the 10th of July, On the 10th of September 2019, Campbell actually successfully appealed his sentence, and it got reduced. His minimum term was reduced from 27 years to 24 years, meaning that he will be able to apply for parole when he is 40. So he is currently serving his time at the HM Young Offenders Institution in Beaumont, but when he turns 21 next year, he will be moved to an adult prison. So, you might think that's the end of the story, but it's not. So actually, I'm going to tell you what did happen that night, because this is Aaron's account of actually what did happen that night. So 16-year-old Aaron Campbell invited his friends to his house where he became drunk. The party finished before midnight, but at about 2:30 in the morning, a friend returned and found Campbell in bed and suicidal. Campbell himself claimed, quote, "I was quite upset as my mum had been arguing with me most of the night. The friend was quite worried, unquote. The friend was quite worried for him and offered to stay over, but Campbell declined and said he was going to get stoned. Campbell sent messages to several people asking if they were available to sell him cannabis, including Robert MacPhail, which is his dad, at 1:47 in the morning, and at 1:48 in the morning, he actually tried calling Tony McLaughlin, but there was no response. Intending to steal cannabis, Campbell left his house at 1:54 armed with a kitchen knife. He went to the MacPhail's property and he entered the house, which was roughly about a 5-minute walk away from his, and it turned out that Alesha's room was closest to the front door.
Alright.
So when he found her sleeping, he just saw a moment of opportunity. Later claiming, quote, "All I thought about was killing her once I saw her."
Oh my God.
He lifted drowsy Alesha from her bed, left the house without anyone noticing, and walked with her along the ocean shore. Alesha woke up in his arms, and during this walk, and asked who he was. Campbell replied that he knew her dad and was taking her home. He carried Alesha to a secluded location, then raped and murdered her, and he threw his clothes in the sea, went home for a shower, then returned to the murder site to get his phone. Which I think was when the CCTV, when he came back, that's what he was doing. And Tony, she did actually notice the missed calls from Campbell in the morning. So during when they're all frantically trying to search, she did actually notice that there had been a couple of missed calls from him, and she'd actually tried phoning him back, but he didn't pick up. But he then did send a text to her saying, quote, "Sorry, it doesn't matter," end quote. Because obviously at that point he was looking for cannabis, but clearly they'd already killed Alesha, with 2 laughing emojis. So when Tony texts back asking him to look out for Alesha, Campbell wrote back, quote, "Oh damn, I'm sure she's not too far," end quote. And then I wrote in the bottom, "Evil bastard." So, yeah.
Okay, that was horrible.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad one, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's not very often that we do children and sexual assault, so...
But I just don't understand. I mean, obviously, he's had these thoughts, before, but he obviously went to this house looking for cannabis, which then ended up turning into him stealing a girl from her bed and murdering her. Raping and murdering. I mean, I don't understand how that even happens.
No, how you go from looking from cannabis to killing somebody. A child.
Exactly. I mean, that's just horrific and...
Absolute monster.
Yeah, but I remember seeing, once I think they'd released his name, so you obviously then saw pictures of him in the news and stuff, and I just remember, I think there's just one picture of him, and he's just got this, smirk on his face, as if he's, really, I'm really happy with what I did. There was just, no remorse from him whatsoever.
Makes you wonder, though, right, if he's got no remorse and he's kind of smirking and he was laughing in court, kind of quite happy with himself. Mm-hmm. So, does that mean that, all these years in prison, this 24 years in prison, is it worth it? I wonder, in his head, is 24 years,
for the satisfaction that he seems to have got.
Yeah. I don't even want to think about that, to be honest.
No, I mean, I hope that he has had a horrible time in prison, but I mean, he's obviously not even in an adult prison currently. I mean, he's still in a young offenders prison, but next year he gets moved into an adult prison, so...
I think he'll maybe notice...
be a bit different.
Hopefully.
I mean, obviously, no prison should be a pleasant
experience. It shouldn't be easy, but from what I've heard of young offenders places, I don't think they're particularly bad, compared to
like
an adult prison, yeah.
So I mean, the fact that he's a child killer,
yeah, that's not going to go down well.
I wouldn't have thought so, but you know, that's his own fault, and
yeah, no sympathy whatsoever. He's an absolute monster and deserves to be locked up for the rest of his life.
Well, exactly. I mean, I'm actually surprised he got his sentence reduced.
Reduced,
a lot of the times, you know, they get their sentences at, you know, if they lose the appeal, they actually get it increased and stuff. So I was quite surprised, and actually don't think he should have had it reduced.
No,
because you know,
one day this guy is going to be released, and to me that is really scary. If he's capable of doing what he did at 16 and had no remorse for it, what's he going to do when he's 40?
Yeah,
you know,
actually. But then I mean, I suppose he's only up for parole. I guess that doesn't guarantee that he
yeah,
gets released.
I know.
But personally, I would hope that he
should throw away the key.
Well, yeah, exactly, because you know, nobody deserves that, and that poor little girl, you know, just went on her summer holidays, you know.
I know, and
then
horrendous.
You know, for like through no fault of her own, just like, you know, so even just, you know, when you're supposed to be most safe as well, like you're in your bed.
You're in your bed, yeah.
You know, it's not even like
your family home. Like that's when you're supposed to be safe.
Well, exactly, that's what you think. But
how did they get in?
Well, it doesn't say that he broke it, like, as in, like, had to smash it. I don't know if the doors were unlocked, maybe.
I don't know. Some places, they still don't lock the doors.
Well, exactly, and communities, you know, like that, especially on an island, I mean, maybe they felt safe, they probably know each other, you know, maybe that isn't, but I don't think, you know, he didn't, because he managed to get in unnoticed without making too much of a noise. And I mean, I don't know where he thought he was getting the cannabis from, and if he was sneaking in there. I mean, it was obviously just not, you know, if he was drunk and
you don't know what's going on through his head.
Well, exactly.
Maybe he thought he could go in and steal some cannabis. Maybe you know, I don't know. We don't know. There's no point in speculating.
Well, exactly. I mean, you know, we don't understand what goes on in the minds of these killers, but.
But anyway, thank you everybody for listening, and if you would like to follow us, you know, on our social medias, and all the information will be in the show notes. If you'd like to join our Patreon, it's patreon.com/CrimeDivers, and, you know, get some bonus episodes and whatnot from there.
There's a good few on there now.
And if you like what you hear, then
don't forget to subscribe, rate and review.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.